1948年以色列复国之后，一些回归的犹太基督徒开始发动犹太人归主运动。这些人员先称自己是希伯来基督徒 （Hebrew Christian）， 后来又改称自己是弥赛亚派犹太人 （Messianic Jews）。据估计，现在在以色列有超过100个弥赛亚派犹太人团体，信主的犹太基督徒超过1万人，就连国防军里也有300个弥赛亚派犹太人。相较于2战之后不到100基督徒的情形，以色列这棵无花果树确实开始发嫩长叶了。罗马书11章25到26节说：“弟兄们，我不愿意你们不知道这奥秘，恐怕你们自以为精明，就是以色列人有几分硬心，直到外邦人的数目填满了，于是以色列全家都要得救。如经上所记，必有拯救者从西安出来，他要从雅各家消除不虔。”今天在耶路撒冷西边有一个独一无二的社区，称作 Yad Hashmona。 整个社区由信主的犹太人组成，人口约100多人，坐落在一个风景优美的山路上。社区设有接待所，旁边设有圣经公园，曾是圣经时代的花草树木，并人们生活的方式。神并没有放弃以色列，一面神在管教以色列，用他主宰的安排来对付他；另一面，神又在保护以色列。因着神的保护，环绕以色列的阿拉伯国家无法消灭这个小国。按照预言，以色列不会被消灭，却要存留，直到主耶稣显现时，那时以色列全家要转向主。
You see, the Messianic Jews are Jews that believe in the Old and New Testament, that believe in Jesus. They believe that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah to the Jewish people, that he came as atonement for our sin. He was crucified here in Jerusalem and resurrected, and will come again. Now, why don't we call ourselves Jewish Christian or Christian at all? We want and we put a big emphasis on keeping the Jewish identity in our name, because we don't want to leave our nation. We want to be a part of our nation and emphasize that we believe in Yeshua, Jesus, as the Messiah. We also see as our role as Jewish believers or Messianic Jews is to bring a Jewish Messiah to the Jewish people. We don't want to bring quote-unquote Christianity. We want to bring Jesus to the Jewish people. So we have, in a way, we have to separate ourselves from 2,000 years of terminology, which was not always right. I mean, if we talk, for example, about Christian Christmas, we know today that probably Christ was not born on the 24th of December. So why we should apply this Christian tradition on our Jewish brethren? We're not here to bring a way of life, we're here to bring salvation for the Jewish people. Before the state of Israel, there were different mission organizations in the land, but there was not a local church. After the state of Israel was born, many of the mission organizations left because they were afraid. Immediately the war happened and there was like a gap. In the 50s, my parents came, and there were other families who came. And my father God used him to be one of the instruments of really establish the revive of the local Messianic movement. And my father with one other brother who came immigrant from France. My father immigrated from Tunisia, North Africa. Together they established one of the first, if not the first, independent Messianic assembly, which means not tied not to the Baptist, not tied to the Lutheran or to any other denomination, a real local Messianic congregation, a congregation which is led by local Israeli Jewish people who find Yeshua as their Savior, Jesus as their Savior, and those brothers together try to establish their identity as Jewish believers. We celebrate all the Jewish feasts, all the Jewish biblical feasts. We don't worship on Sunday. Sunday is a regular day of the week. We keep the Sabbath, like in the Old Testament. And now on the worship, it's depending on a different congregation. You will find a Messianic congregation that will look almost like a synagogue, that they will have the prayer shawl and the yarmulke, and you will find congregation like my congregation, which is a Hebrew service where worship is in Hebrew and a very lively worship, but we won't use the prayer shawl and all that, because we believe that we are under the grace of God and we are not under the law.
Amen.
So that's how we see it.
So currently, do you know about how many Messianic Jews are in Israel?
I believe we are approximately 20,000 Messianic Jews. Maybe 15,000, 20,000. It was never really counted. I think that's the key of every believer. And once we try to live with our own power to implement the law, we have no chance. But if Christ lives in us, that's a fruit. Living by law is the fruit of what Christ does in our life. I believe 100%.
Yes.
As I said, my father immigrated to Israel in 1956. Once he landed here, he understood that not only that Jesus is the Messiah for the Jewish people, but we need to bring a Jewish Messiah to the Jewish people. So he started with a printing press in order to print books, in order to spread the word to the Jewish people. And he started a ministry of distributing books free of charge in Hebrew to the Jewish people. And since the 60s till today, every year we print a lot of books, and we published one of the books of Watchman Nee, and we published them in Hebrew, and we try to flood Israel with literature, because we don't know how long this window of opportunity will be available, in order to equip the believers and the new believers that are going to come. We're not here to promote Christianity, we're here to promote Christ. So some people get offended from that, and we're not here to make people Baptist or Lutheran or Assemblies of God or any denomination. We're here to bring the Jewish people back to their Messiah, that they'll recognize Him and that they will worship Him. With the years, more and more congregation has started. Many came out from us and started their own congregation. And with the new immigration of the Russian Jews from Russia, we see a lot of Russian Jews and a lot of congregation among the Russians. You see, growing up in my father's family, I was one of the very, very few Israeli my age that grew up in a Messianic family. I knew all the time that was the truth, but my personal switch, I mean, I knew that Jesus was the Messiah, but I wasn't willing to pay the price. I was, you see, growing up here, my father being so vocal about the faith, we had a lot of persecution growing up. And I said, you know what? I don't know that I want that. They burned my father's car, they put us a bomb in the house. As kids, we were not allowed to answer the phone because my father was getting threat calls and so on. Because my father was doing something which was unknown to the Jewish people. What do you mean you're a Jew that believe in Jesus? What are you trying to do? We just came out from the fire of the Holocaust by, you know, and you want to bring us back to Christianity? Look what Christianity did to us. So he experienced a lot of persecution when he grew up. Today it's more known that you can be a Jew and believe in Jesus. But 25 years ago, 30 years ago, it was not so. But it was only when I was in the military service that that brought me to a situation where I had to, really like Elijah, when it comes to the to the people of Israel, and tell them, till when are you going to jump from the two subjects? If you want to follow God, follow God. If you want to follow Baal, you cannot be jumping back and forth. And I really decided that I'll follow Christ with whatever it takes. And also during my military service. As I said, Sarah was established in 1993. We started very small. We didn't know what. My wife and I, we couldn't have children. So we said, okay, let's start a company. And that was our baby. And I remember I told when I started, I said to my wife, if we'll have 2 groups a month, I'll be very happy. 24 groups a year. We'll do very well, and so on and so on. And by the grace of God, and again I say it's only the grace of God, it's not me. Today we have 1,500 groups a year. So I was hoping for 24. So God has been tremendously good to us. And now my heart is, I've been to Beijing. And I've been to, my heart now,
yes.
I've been to Beijing, I've been to Hong Kong, and I believe, and I spoke to some of the, I don't know if you call it underground church or the home churches. House churches. And I believe that the future of Israel and the church is in China, is among the Chinese speaking people. And I'll say why. I think China is very interesting for the Jewish people. The Chinese people are very interesting for the Chinese people. And I see the Chinese as a huge instrument to bring the gospel to the Jewish people. First of all, they don't have any history, quote unquote, with Israel. You see the European, the Western church, the Jews can always tell them, listen, look what you did to our father, or look what you did to our ancestor. But the Chinese Christian, he has no so-called bad. And then the Chinese can tell them, listen, I believe in your God. Your God has changed my life. I'm a Chinese from Beijing, from Hong Kong, from Taiwan, I don't know from where. And I believe in your God. I believe in your book. And I think that's a mind-blowing. The whole wall of the history is already down. It won't be a subject. When a Chinese Christian comes and talks to a Jewish person, he doesn't need to deal with 2,000 years of history. So I think the Chinese has a key in their hand with the Jewish people that nobody else has. And so I believe that it can be a huge blessing both for the Chinese church and for Israel, this coming together of those two groups. They don't have a 2,000 years of history of persecution. The Chinese never persecuted the Jews. On the contrary, China opened the door in the Second World War to the Jewish people to come. Right. So the Chinese people have a very good history. You have a very good beginning with the Jewish people. So I think it can be, we should put our heads together and see how we can work together with the Chinese Christians around the world. And now the Israelis are going to China because it's the new thing. It's the new thing. They're all going to China. They're all going to the East. The East is very interesting for the Israelis. The Israelis are huge travelers. And the doors were wide open. And China is wide open to allow Israel, to allow Chinese to come to Israel. But they get visa very easily. Okay. We arrange a visa in 10 days. We get the visa. Right. On the contrary, Israel is very, very interested. in having Chinese Christian to come to Israel.